Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Professionals Group. My name is Guy Dawson, and I am the managing member of Classic Communications, a full-service public relations and marketing firm, and also the founder of the Professionals Group. And we host workshops and presentations with members of the professionals on a regular basis. We are all about helping people to improve their professionalism. And I have a man today who certainly exemplifies professionalism. I've known Stan for several years, and in the digital marketing world, specifically here in Vegas, but of course now he's really starting to stretch his tentacles with some of the endeavors that he's a part of. He is really one of our go-to guys in terms of professionalism. Welcome to the Professionals Workshop, Stan.
I'm excited. This is great. Thank you.
And here we are on this digital platform. We're on social media. I mean, this is your world, right, Stan? This is where you really fit in.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this platform. I'm loving the StreamYard platform. It's just my favorite for doing these kinds of events. It's just fantastic. So love it. Yes.
Yes, and so Stan is going to be talking to us about automation this evening, and I'll read a little about his presentation. He wants to know, are you using the technology available right now? Most small businesses are not using some simple tools. This presentation will show you 3 powerful automations that small businesses can use to improve efficiency and often avoid hiring staff. He will also explore a variety of uses for QR codes in your small business. They're much more versatile than you think. Extremely interesting information. Please welcome Stan Shields, our presenter for today. Stan, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. So we've got the screen or the presentation there. It disappeared. There we go. Perfect. Let me hit the back button and go back a little bit. For some reason, it jumped ahead on me. There we go. Good. There we go. 3 powerful automations for your small business. So we're going to explore, as Guy said in that introduction, QR codes, text messaging, lead capture, automating your operations. So we're going to get into a few of those things. But before we do, let's ask a real question here, okay? Where can you find an employee for $70 a month who is willing to work happily 24 hours a day for years and never complains and is never tired or never needs a break and is willingly and happily does every single task that they're asked to do? And they do these tasks daily and they do them on time. And last but not least, they are extremely fast and efficient. So where can you find an employee like that, right? But in order to get that kind of employee, you have to be a good boss, and you have to set some very clear guidelines and some very clear expectations. And you got to spend some time to train them, right? It's like real employees. But this employee is called automation. And with this automation, this employee can help you do a lot of things. We're going to talk about just a few of them today. One of them being how to capture leads at events and how to schedule guest speakers, whether you have a podcast, you do a live show host, or you have an event. But either way, scheduling speakers. But I want you to even look at that a little bit deeper, as it's not just scheduling speakers. It's how do I follow up? Meaning that if I've got situations where I need to follow up with people, how can I do that follow up? That's what that automation is really going to speak to. And the last one is disseminating information. You need to get information out to people. We're going to talk about how we can do those kinds of things. And there's so much more that an automated system can help you do. So we're going to explore just a little bit of some of these things. Now, one of the important tools for keywords is, for automating is using QR codes. Now, a lot of people, we've all become familiar with QR codes because we've used them quite a bit these days, but let's talk about for a second, what are QR codes? Because I think there's a lot of confusion around what they really are. And the QR code is simply a tool, just like a hammer is a tool. A QR code is the transportation system. It just gets a person from point A to point B. So that's literally all it is a mechanism to help get a person to where you want them to be, where you want them to go. And it's easy. So the QR code is really just the start of your process in order to take a person onto the customer journey that you want them to go on. And the limitations behind QR codes really is just, it's your imagination. What can you imagine? So these are just a few of the ways that we can use QR codes to generate leads, for giveaways, to get people where we need them to go for giveaways, payments, to make payments to us and whatnot, discounts, software, download our software, view our software, interact with our software, whatever, social media, directions, even maps. There are parks that will use a QR code to get people to the right map, so that they can get to the place that they need to go to. The treasure hunts, okay, it's just wide open. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, you might be able to do it with QR codes. And so let's dive into event marketing and talk a little bit more about that. And what do I mean by event marketing? Well, it's trade shows, local vendor events, community events, all of those kinds of things. So whether you're involved in this kind of event, that's a big professional trade show, or maybe you're involved in more events that look like this, that's kind of the farmers market, and a lot of those events are around. But what I find at going to really any of these events, what I find is that not nearly as many people are, number one, they're not necessarily capturing leads the way I think they should be. And they're capturing those leads in really kind of an old-fashioned way, so to speak. Okay, so let's talk about what's needed to truly capture leads at some of these events. This is not it's a tiny, maybe a tiny bit off the topic, but not really, because it helps you and it ties in. So what's needed? Well, you need a great lead magnet in order to get people to interact with your booth and interact with you in the first place. And then having a QR code or a short link that now allows people to get to a landing page or a lead capture page, then that's going to be extremely beneficial for you. And then having a page where now you're going to deliver the person to, or you're going to have them land on that page for it to be the primary thing that you want them to do. And then having text message and an email sequence. Those are a few of the tools that you would need. And I thought I would throw this in just in case people are saying, well, what is a lead magnet? What was the lead magnet idea? I don't even know what that is. A lead magnet could be product bundles where you give away some samples, and you offer to give away this big bundle of samples in exchange for a person's name, phone number, and email address. It could be some free samples. It could be free limited memberships. When I had the martial arts business, I used to give away in fact, I would do a drawing for a 6-month membership and for 3-month memberships for my Krav Maga or my kickboxing programs, those kinds of things. I would do those kinds of drawings, and a lot of people would come over. And in those days, I used to try and use the QR codes, but back then was too early. It was too complicated. People had to load software on their phone. They didn't know what it was. It was just totally strange. Nowadays, it's very different. But these are all things that you can use in order to attract people over to your booth. I was just wondering, making sure my camera came back. All right, there we go. Anyway, these are some of the things that you could possibly use to attract people over to your booth. So if you're watching this demo and this presentation and you'd like to try it, scan that QR code with your phone. It's going to take you to a landing page, and that landing page is going to show you, it'll be a sample. It's a demo of a landing page. You can enter your information. You're not going to get barraged with a ton of emails forever. You will get, I think, 2 or 3 emails that are showing you examples of here's what you could do, here's what you could say, here's how you can communicate with the people that scan your code at an event. But this is, would be one of those ways to get people to do it. And this is an example of a lead capture page. And so they scan the code. It takes them to this page. They read more about whatever it is you're doing. So if you're giving away a bundle of your merchandise, or maybe you are inviting them to free yoga classes for a week. That's one of the things we used to do, is we used to give away a 30-day free trial to come in and try out martial arts classes. And usually by the time that was over, I'd have them hooked and they would sign up. So the 30-day free trial was a great lead magnet for me, in that we were able to get a ton of people in using that as a tool. And so I got something hanging on my screen here. Let me just get rid of it. All right. So, and so the next thing that happens then with this is, when the person scans it, they fill in their information, then they're going to receive a text message right while they're standing right there at your booth. And this is where this is where really the automation comes in and starts to hit home. They get a text standing right at your booth. And what if you gave away something in your text, or gave them a nice discount, or some reason to buy or engage with you right at that moment? That by itself can boost sales. That can increase the chances that this person can become a customer and become a long-term customer. If you're doing a free trial for something, that means that now you've got this person maybe hooked while they're standing right there. It's immediate. It gives them an immediate response for the action that they just took. So I highly encourage you to do something with that, so that the text message gets to them right away. And they're likely to read that text message right now while they're right there at your booth. They probably won't read the email, because the email is gone out at the exact same time, but that's going to show up in their email box, and they probably won't see that until sometime later on. The great thing about doing text and email is, text is short and quick and gives them a quick message. That's your first point of engagement. With the email, you can deliver more detail. You can deliver links that take them to other places, other products, other services, other things for them to look at, and other ways for them to engage with you than maybe at a little bit later time. We also are really planning ahead, and we're not only is it that one email that they're going to get, but they're going to get a series of emails, and they're going to get a series of text messages, all depending on what your business is and what's the frequency that you want to communicate with them. And so that's all going to be dependent on each business, and it's probably going to be very different for each business. But we want to plan all that stuff ahead of time and have those all planned out and structured and scheduled, so that now, once the person starts engaging with you, that you now have a long-term plan and they are starting to interact with your business. Now, what's the journey that you want to take this prospect on? So that's where the automation helps you walk them down the path. It helps you walk them step by step through the journey that you want them to take. And so planning all of that out and then automating that makes it amazing, because things just happen and you're almost sitting back watching. And so one example, or another example of this, is a speaker follow-up system. Now, again, in the beginning, I said, look at it as any kind of a follow-up system. If you are the kind of person that has an event or a broadcast or a podcast or any kind of an event where you have to have speakers and you need to now get those speakers organized and follow up and get their data and so forth, then you know how much of a hassle that can be at times. And so let's just talk about a few of those steps that are involved. So if somebody agrees to speak or to be on your podcast or on your event, very first things you're going to do is capture their name, their email, their phone number, and then you're going to send them some kind of an email or something requesting them to give you more info. And then you have to typically follow up to make sure that you get the information, and you have to remind them and share with them the link. Where are they going to go in order for this show to happen? And so there's a few steps that are involved in that. And so this came about because I do a live broadcast with some of the speakers for one of my networking groups, that every 2 weeks we have our networking group. And if in fact, once we have a speaker determined, then what needs to happen is I send out something to them, and then I have to wait for them to respond. And then quite often they don't respond, and I have to remind them that I've asked for this information. So it was just a challenge for me to stay on top of it. And if you're anything like me and you get a lot of emails in your box, you might miss something. And so occasionally I would miss some of those and whatnot. And so I said, you know what? You're Mr. Automation. Let's create an automation that will help with the follow-up. And so what I did was I created this. Now, you probably look at this, and I'm sorry, my phone is ringing right there. So let me see if I can stop it. There we go. And there we go. So I created this automation. So now this automation is probably looks kind of complicated. You're like, what the heck is all of this? So let's break it down. So basically what happens is, if someone is now scheduled, I have it set up in my system that I put a tag inside that person's contact record inside my system. And that tag tells me that this person is scheduled to speak. So that way I can look at a long list of speakers that are going to be coming up in the futures. I can see who they all are. But when a person is going to speak and their date gets close, then I put in their broadcast date and time. And when I put that broadcast date and time in, now the system will, and I'm looking to see if, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor here, because I'm looking for the pointer that allows me to make it a highlighter. Let's make it a laser. There we go. That makes it easier. So by putting in their broadcast date and their time, it now sends out. The system knows to automatically send this first email. So that first email will go out asking for all the information that I need from the person. Then it waits for 3 days, and then it looks to see, did the person open my campaign, and did they hit reply as I requested in the email in order to send the information. If in fact they did open this email and they hit reply, it goes to this yes column over here. Or if they did not, then it's going to actually go to this no column. And I'll show you what happens inside of those. So if it goes to the yes column, then it met this first goal that I have, that the person did open this email and they have responded to it. And in that case, the system sends me a message, a text message. In fact, it sends me a text message telling me that the person did respond to me. So I need to go make sure I find that message. It also sends me an email that does the exact same thing. And then it waits until I take the next action. And in this case, for me, the next action is to create the StreamYard link and put that link inside the person's record. So the system just sits and waits until I get that done. Once I have created that, then I will take that StreamYard link, put it inside their record. Once I put it in there, the system knows to continue on. So then it will send email number two. Email number two gives them the StreamYard link as well as additional details that they need to know when using StreamYard. Things like they need to kind of register on Facebook so that StreamYard can recognize them and not put it as a Facebook user. It'll actually give Facebook permission to share their information, as well as things like once you click into the StreamYard link, you need to go into the studio or enter the studio. Otherwise, the person can't see you. I mean, there's little details, things that they need to know. Well, that's all detailed in this email, and it gets sent automatically as soon as that link has been created. And so the next thing that happens down there is that it will then wait until one day before the broadcast, and then it will send them the next email. And that's another reminder email that, hey, your broadcast is tomorrow. Here's your link. Here's the time. Here's all the details that you need in order to be on the show and, for everything to go the way it's supposed to. And then it will actually wait for another day, and then it will clean up the person's record inside my database. So it will add a tag that tells me this person did the interview, and then it takes out a tag that tells me that there's an interview that's coming up. But we can update a lot of different fields. We can update information inside the database. We can do a lot of different things all through automation. So we don't have to do those things manually. And then I usually tack on 30 days onto my automation just in case I want to come up with something else creative and add something to it. And I want that person to be able to get it. So I just put a little buffer right there to give me time to figure out what the heck I'm doing with my automation. But let's suppose that the person did not reply. They did not open the email. Now what I do then is I go into follow-up mode, or the system does, of reminding them that of what I requested. So they get a second email that looks similar to the first, but also says, I sent you a previous email a few days ago. I need a response on these items, so that now the person can go look for it, or, they can respond to it. They may not have seen it. And so at the same time, they get a text message. This text tells them, I've sent you 2 emails. Go check your spam. Make sure you got them, so that they can then find it if, in fact, they truly did not see that email. And then it will wait for 2 more days. Then it checks to see, did they open the email? Did they hit reply? If they did, then it goes over here to my yes column, which then will actually take them back to my other yes column that was in the very beginning to finish the process, so that we get ready for the show. If they did not respond to that, then what happens with it next is the system is going to send me a text to tell me that the person still has not responded. So I know that I need to manually go and try and figure out what's going on. How come I'm not getting the response back from this person? And I might have to personally call them or track them down on social media or whatever. But then the system also it'll wait for 2 days, but then it'll look to see, did the broadcast date pass? Because if the broadcast date has passed, there's no need for me to continue reminding them. It will just end the automation. If the broadcast date has not passed and we still have time, it's going to loop back up and it's going to send them some more reminders. So the system helps me with staying on top and talking and finding out what's going on with the person, and making sure that those things don't fall through the cracks. And that it's not me waiting until the last minute to get some of those things done. Now, these are some other automations that I've done. For one of the summits that we were doing is a virtual summit system, that this was the speaker approval process. And I'm not going to go through this in as much detail as I just did with the other one, but basically, a person that wanted to be a speaker fills out a form. They get a confirmation email, and then we get notification that somebody filled out a form. And then we make a decision. It waits until we make a decision. Is this person really going to be a speaker or not? If the answer is yes, they are approved as a speaker, they go down the yes column, and it's very fast. It just fills in some data into certain fields that we want data in, and it launches the speaker, the approved speaker email sequence. That starts a whole new automation that's in a different place that starts to send them the data they need to know as a speaker. If they were not approved, it goes down and it asks a question. Are they not approved to ever be a speaker, or are they just not approved for this particular event? If we want them to speak for a future event, then it goes down this yes column over here that now puts them in the queue for a future event and communicates that information to them. If they're not approved as a speaker because it's just not the right talk for that particular event and so forth, then they get a very different response. They get a response that says, I'm sorry, but it's not the right fit for what our event is and so forth. Okay. This is an affiliate system, so that affiliate communication system. So somebody signed up as an affiliate for the summit, then this is their application to be an affiliate. This is the response for their application. This is the notification we got that they filled out an application. Then it waits to find out, did we approve them as an affiliate? And if so, it goes down the yes column. If no, it starts to go down this other side and responds and gives them links to websites and other things that we may want to take the person to. And the last one I'll share with you is with a startup company that I'm working with for investors. So this takes an investor, fills out a form, a potential investor fills out a form, it sends a email confirmation, but then it waits to see, did they visit the next page that they need to visit, or did they open the email or click the link? If they did, they go down the yes column. If they did not, they go down the no column. And then if they did not open or do anything we wanted them to do, they get one set of messages. If they did a part of what we want them to do, but not the other part, they get a different set of messages. If they do everything we want them to do, they get everything that goes into the yes column, including when we get down here to the bottom, we have them fill out a form to request a business plan. And then we know that that person is a little bit more serious of an investor, and we will then go down and add that person to a pipeline of potential investors. But we'll also send notifications to the company founder as well as the CFO so that they know that they have a serious investor and they need to reach out to that person. So we take those serious investors and we put them into a pipeline so that now we can see this is the first step for becoming an investor. And then there are multiple stages that go along, and we can automate moving people to these stages based on their actions that they take on a website or clicking the link in an email and that kind of a thing. So, or filling out a form. So we can move them along automatically, or we can literally just grab the person and drag them to the appropriate stage anytime, anywhere during the process. And then, of course, one of the pipelines that I have is my pipeline. That last one you saw was a 5-step. This one is a 7-step pipeline that starts with interest and awareness, and then somebody showing interest, and then doing a demo and all of that kind of stuff. So you can see, though, that these pipelines can be multi stages, as well as they can be not just for sales. It can be for sales, but it could be for investors. It could be for any business process that you have in your organization. That could be a pipeline that now you can see where people are at every stage for your processes within your business. All right, the last phase that I want to talk about is keywords. And you've seen this before for text messaging. When you are in a presentation or something and you hear people say, text the word, and they give you a word, to the number, and they give you a number, and you're going to get free stuff. right? So that will be one of the things that is very, very useful for small businesses and can be very beneficial. Guy, this is when I'd like for you to come back on and maybe do a little demo with me right here. And so the keyword thing is what we would use is we just need a text messaging system and a auto responder. And then we need a landing page to be able to send the person to. And so, so here's what we can try right here. Ready? So Guy, there's two ways you can do this. You can scan the QR code. So go ahead and scan the QR code and then tell us what happens when you scan it and click the link. You're muted. Can't hear you.
So it took me to a text message.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing your entry to win. You are entered to win a free marketing technology stack assessment just for trying the system.
Okay. And so it can take the person to wherever you want them to go. Okay. It could be that kind of a thing. It could be taking them to a business card, right? And it could be, you can take them to any number of places, but this is that versatility with with QR codes that a lot of people don't understand, is that a lot of times people think the QR code only takes people to a website, right? But what we did with this QR code is we had it open up a text message on the person's phone. It will literally go open the text and put the word in that you want it to respond to, and it'll then send that message, right? To respond however you've really set it up, right? To respond. And so QR codes can do a lot of different things. It could be this whole thing so that literally you can send it to a place where a person can win something. You could send it to a place for a person to register with you. And then maybe one of the ones I have is if somebody puts in that number and they type the word Stan to it. So I don't think that one, I might have put the wrong QR code there because it brought up a different QR code. It did, or I'm sorry, a different keyword. If you put the word Stan in, it then will take you to a form that you fill out and it'll send you to my digital business card, right? And so it does different things depending on how you have it set up, all right? But text messages, this is what happens when somebody goes to Stan. They'll get the landing page, they'll get the first message, they'll get the landing page, and if they fill out the landing page, it takes them to a digital business card. But then the second thing is that they'll get a follow-up message the next day that says, hey, did you schedule time to chat? If you didn't, here's a link directly to my business card that you can now get that, right? So it's those things. So the keyword feature can be used to take people to a capture form, to send them to a blog post or an article, to send them to videos on YouTube, or deliver a PDF, business card, pages on website, sales funnels, all kinds of things. And so literally, in summary, you can use the automation to help you with events marketing, with a number of functions there to follow up on really anything. The example we used today was following up for speakers to help to get speakers processed through your system and be there and get all the info they need. Or you can use SMS and keyword marketing and that kind of thing. But those are all little automation tools that can help. And so that's it. So if anybody is interested in learning more, talking to me more about how you can automate processes within your business, this is how you can get in touch with me. Either takemycard.me will take you right to my digital business card, or scan the QR code and it'll take you to the process in order to get my digital business card. So, Guy, any questions from you or any follow-up from you?
Your kitty cat is showing. I wanted to let you know that. We can't see
Yeah,
your
I see
face.
that. I see that. I don't know why that is, other than I probably have to see if my I have no idea why that is doing
Yeah,
that.
no problem. I do have several questions for you.
Okay.
Great information, very comprehensive about how to use digital marketing to touch people. I mean, me being in the PR and marketing business, I understand the value of having multiple ways to touch people and how important that is. And that was really the essence of what I got out of your presentation today. But one question I have for you is, can you give us an example of a really effective automation example?
Well, that's going to the effective is going to depend on every business, right? Because the example that I just did of scheduling with speakers, right? That has been incredibly effective for me. I probably have about 15 to 20 automations that might be running at any given time. I'll give you another one. I have a weekly support call for active campaign users, and that call is every week, and I will send a message out to people weekly. But the system, once they are enrolled into that program, what happens is the system automatically sends a welcome message to them. And this is all by me just putting in a tag in their record, right? I put a tag in and the system sends a welcome message, and it gives them very specific instructions on how to get support. What is the support? How do they find the support ticketing system? When are the regular calls? It gives them all the details that they need to know, right? And then the system waits until the following week on it's either Thursday or Friday. I've got different ones now. I don't remember when this one comes out, but it's probably on Thursday or something, that it goes out every Thursday. That message will go out and send a new message or the next message that says, don't forget, support call is here. Here's the link to go to register, blah, 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 right? It gives them those details. And then the system will wait for another day, and then it'll loop back around and it'll send that message back out to them the following week on Thursday, right? So that every Thursday they get this message from me, but it's not me sending it. It's my automation that's sending it. So I don't have to remember to go do those things, right? It'll do that all by itself. Okay. There's so many of them. Calendar. Lots of people use Calendly or some kind of an appointment system, right? I use something called Appointlet, and person can go and they will schedule an appointment with me. When they schedule that appointment, that system is going to actually send up to 3 reminders reminding them of the appointment itself, right? That calendar system does it. But at the same time, depending on the box that they checked or the radio button that they checked when they schedule the appointment, if they said it's a networking appointment, then that flows over to my database, and my database says, this is a person that's a networking kind of a person. And I will send a follow-up message to them saying, here, connect with me on social media, connect with me on these other platforms. And by the way, here are some other networking opportunities that you may want to participate in. So they'll get that message because they checked the box for networking. If they check the box for live broadcast, then that triggers, as soon as it hits my database, that triggers a message to go out that says, here's the date that you just scheduled for your live broadcast, and here's the date, the time, blah, blah, blah. It's similar to that speaker scheduling automation that I just showed you, but it's a little bit different because of the way that I'm leading them into that. And it's for a whole different purpose than what that other speaker flow was, right? So I use it. I mean, I'm using it every day for scheduling scheduling things or for following up with people automatically. In fact, in one of the last meetings, one of the guys in the meeting said, yeah, Stan does an extremely good job of following up with, with this kind of stuff, because I got a message from him. I must have gotten 3 or 4 messages with regard to when things were and what was happening and so forth. He was very impressed by it. And then he was less impressed. No, I'm not kidding. I'm just kidding. He was less impressed when he saw how I did it. Actually, he's one of those people that ended up saying, hey, you know what? We need to talk because I need some automation in my business. So, because most of the time people think I'm sending those messages to them, but I'm using my employee, my automation employee, to do it for me. So it's not all me sitting there burning up my fingers doing that stuff.
Yes.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
I love the example of you talking about how you can literally replace a human being with a good automation system. And for anyone who's in small business where your resources are what they are, right? You have so many other things that you have to manage with your resources, and being able to literally create an employee, as you had mentioned, I think for a lot of business people to understand the importance of that, and that brings money back to you, because that automation, the consistency of those touches. I mean, many years, Stan, of doing digital marketing myself, I understand that the one with the most touches, the most smart touches, wins.
That's right. That's right. And I'll tell you, I showed these examples, some of the things that the systems can do for you is look to see what page on your website did a person visit, and now send a message to them regarding those pages versus just sending a broadcast email that goes to everybody. That's kind of a blanket thing, right? It's so much. You mentioned something there saying smart touches. If I can tell, oh, a person was interested, they went to this page and they were interested in this product, they clicked on this link, now that means I have a much better idea of what is it that the person's interested in, and I can send them a message about something that they're interested in versus just assuming that they're interested in the whole thing and sending them, just random messages.
Mm-hmm. Segmentation is really an important aspect of all of this. And there's another question I wanted to ask you. I have my own thoughts about this, but in your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges that small businesses face when it comes to marketing?
One, you talked about smart touches, but just enough touches, period. Right? Because if you start to look at some of the stats, and I have this stat sheet that's on my wall right here, right? That's interesting. And one of them says 2% of sales are made on the first touch, right? And so that's a very small percentage, right? When you think about that, it says 3% are made on the second touch, right? And 5% are made on the third touch, 10% on the fourth, but 80% of sales are made somewhere between the 5th and the 20th touch. Okay. And so, and then there's another part where it says that first of all, 48% of salespeople never follow up, period, which is a little bit scary, right? But 25% only make one touch, right? It's only like 10% of people that actually make more than 3 touches, right? So, and part of that is time. If we think about it, if you reached out to, I don't know, a large number of people in a day, 10, 15, 20, 30 people, how much ability do you have to consistently reach out and make those touches to a large number of people? Well, it's pretty tough to do without using some kind of automation to help with doing that. So I think one of the challenges for small businesses is having a marketing machine that's really running and working in your favor.
Yeah, so true. Like you had mentioned, Stan, I mean, you can statistically see the data on, and I know I've experienced it because I have sales systems that I've been using for many years where I track the amount of touches that I make through phone calls, through marketing. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you can get someone to, some people, yeah, they'll buy on the fourth touch, they'll buy on the fifth touch, but then there's some people who won't buy until the 17th touch. But if you give up at the 16th touch, you don't make the sale.
That's right. That's right.
That's what is so important. I think for small business people are leaving a lot of money on the table by not taking advantage of these relatively inexpensive platforms that you have with the automation component that would allow them to blend in the phone calls where they pick up the phone and they actually call the person. That is one part of the process. But sales and marketing are definitely interchangeable. They work together. And so I just think that the information that you provided for everyone today with the automation is it's so effective. And I'm always wanting small business people to understand that even though you may not have the budget of an Apple or some of these big corporations that have all that stock market money, there are tools available for you, such as this automation that puts you on a level playing field with these big companies. But it's about doing it, right? The application, understanding it, and then maybe working with someone like you who can coach. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with, they hear about all this technology that they can utilize, but actually knowing how to make it work is a challenge for them. And I think working with someone like you could be very helpful in that way.
Yeah, that's probably one of the other that's probably the biggest reason why a lot of people or small businesses are not using the technology is it's too confusing, right? And it's just overwhelming. And so, and I happen to be one of those geeks that's been doing this stuff for over 40 years, right? I've always been involved in technology, just no matter what I've been doing. I may not have had a job title that was technology oriented, but I've always been the technology guy. I've always been the systems and the database guy, right? So I've worked with it forever and have just seen so much with it. So
yeah, this is great information again that you provided the professionals today, Stan. And how can people get in contact with you again if they want some of the platforms? I know that you do a lot of affiliate oriented things, and you're very knowledgeable about these different platforms. And again, having somebody to hold your hand while you work through the marketing minefield, because there's just so much opportunity. Being a public relations and marketing person, I want to emphasize this to you as small business owners, is you have an expertise in your area, which is where you are really strong. But in terms of you may not necessarily understand marketing at the level that Stan does from that digital perspective, and that's more of the working smarter sometimes is working through someone who understands digital marketing at a different level than you might understand it. And how can they get a hold of you, Stan, if they want to talk to someone to help them with their understanding of all of this?
Perfect. Flash that last screen back up for me, if you would. Back on our screen share right there, this page right there, right? That is the one that shows the contact info in terms of being able to reach me. Just either takemycard.me will take you right to my digital business card, and on it you'll learn a lot about me because a digital business card, is so different than the paper card. The paper card's really limited as to what you can put on it, but on that digital card you'll see the different services that I've got with some videos that are there, as well as there's some links that you can click to go through and get started on certain things and whatnot. Or scan that QR code, because it'll take you to the digital business card and all of that as well. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again, Stan, for your excellent presentation. That's going to be very helpful for professionals and people who are in business. And we want to encourage all of you to continue to engage in the professionals group. For those of you, I know we're broadcasting across multiple platforms. There are a lot of very exciting things that are going to be coming out via the professionals group in the coming months. It's an organization and a group of people that I think can be very helpful for any professional or people in business. The development of the professionalslead.com website, we're in development right now. There are many facets to it that we are working on. Stay tuned for more details about that. You can also join the professionals group over on Facebook. We are at about 545 members now in that group, a very committed group of people who just want to grow and be greater professionals, trade business with one another, and just get sharper in whatever it is that you're doing. And so we want to encourage you to join our groups. We've got events that are coming up, both webinars online as well as in-person events. So just stay tuned for more of the happenings of the professionals group. We've got a worldwide organization. We actually have members of the professionals group, I believe, in 18 different countries. So this is truly a worldwide entity, a worldwide phenomena. We are 2 years into the development of this, and I feel like we're just really starting to build up steam. We got a lot of great, strong professionals like Stan Shields that are a part of this. And again, there's some excellent opportunities out there. So on Facebook, go to the professionals group and join it. You can also join the professionals group on Meetup as well. Stay tuned for more details about some of the amazing things that we're going to be doing with the professionalslead.com. Take care of yourselves and see you soon.